So I have an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that I printed the 1800 bottle on, and I cut it out. It's kind of hard to see because I have a white table here, but I cut the 1800 bottle out, and the 1800 bottle is it's 4 inches tall. I cut out a 4-inch tall by a little over 3 inches, a little over 4 inches by a little over 3 inches. And then I've got my projector here, and it's on the stand, and it's on the table connected. You can get this all from Amazon. If you're using a projector, you can also shine it on the wall. And then I'm opening it up. Mine's a little loose here, so I have to make sure and press that in. And I'm taking the 1800 bottle, and it's upright. It's just like you would be looking at it. And I'm turning it over, flipping it, and then I place it inside the projector, kind of centered, and I can move my paper around. But I center it and keep it under the clip. It's facing the glass, and then I shut the projector. Then I'm going to turn the projector on, and it's going to project down onto the paper. So for now, I'm going to turn it off, and then I'm going to turn the light off and show how I use it. And I take the tape. This is just artist tape, and I want to secure my paper. I want to secure this with tape down to the table.
So then I turn on the projector and I make sure there's no lights on. I go and turn the lights off, and that makes it a lot brighter on the paper, and you can see where you can trace. So I'm actually doing a voiceover right now because the projector is very loud, but I'm using a very light colored pencil. The lightest gray, it's the cold gray of polychromos pencil, and I am literally just making very light lines. I'm not going to trace every tiny little detail along the bottle or especially the background. I'm only going to make lines where it's very important. The sides of the bottle cap, the top of the bottle cap, the edges of the outline of the jar. I'm using or the bottle. I'm using glassine paper, laying it on top of it first because I don't want my hands to be on the paper. So if you can reach without the glassine paper, that's fine, or if you just don't touch the paper, but try to keep the glassine paper under your hand so you don't put oils onto the paper. And then I'm just lightly, just very lightly, I'm not pressing hard at all, looking for shapes that are like major. I'm not doing every little shape in the glass because the important thing is knowing, like for my reference, when I'm looking at my reference photo, where my boundaries are, where my next reference is, something close to where I'm drawing, so I know how far to go on certain areas. So I'm only taking this pencil and making very light outline. Like for instance, the numbers, I'm not going to outline all of the 1800. I'm just going to say, where does the 1 start, and where does the 8 start, where does the 2 zeros start. The same underneath, I put little lines where the letters start. I'm going to rely on my ability to draw what I see to be able to create those the way they look in the reference photo. Major shapes like the lime or the salt bottle, I want to make sure and get the outline of the outside of it so I know where it starts and where it stops. But I'm not going in and detailing all those little shades and colors. That's going to be left to my skill, being able to look and see what I see in the reference photo and copy that. Now, if you're starting out as a beginner and you haven't drawn a lot, you may want to capture a lot more of the detail. Every tiny little line might be your comfort zone, and if that's the way you need to do it, that's okay. You're still going to be required to actually use the colored pencil to create what you're seeing, which is a whole separate skill in itself. So if you're worried about the proportions, then you can go ahead and detail every little line. So basically you're just going to do as much as you feel comfortable about. I'm also taking the corners and I'm marking the corners, because if you notice that the there's a border around the picture on the paper. I don't go right to the edge because I want to have an area for the framer to be able to kind of overlap without losing some of my image. So I marked the corners so I know where my boundaries are, and I don't necessarily color outside that area. I can put tape all along that border area, and that would keep a real clean, sharp edge and make a place for my framer to be able to come over the paper without cutting off some of my drawing. So if you notice over to the right, there is a light box, and it's very large. It has a tablet of Stonehenge paper on top of it. I'll be showing how to use that light box in future videos. This time I chose to use the projector on the stand because the reason I chose it is because it's bigger than 8.5 by 11, and if you don't have a printer at home that can print bigger than 8.5 by 11, then you'll need to be enlarging your reference photo. But I do have a printer that can print larger, but in this case I'm still using it just was more convenient to use a projector. So I'm just continuing to make very light lines, and sometimes it's hard to see where those lines are that you made. You might need to actually turn off the projector and look to see before you untape it and take it off of your table, just to make sure you got everything. Now, if you don't have a projector like this with a stand, you can use a projector and set it up like on a ladder or a tall stack of books on a table and project it onto the wall and tape your paper onto the wall. You don't have to have this setup. This setup is great for me because I'm drawing so much all the time. If I had to create all of my sketches, initial sketches, by measuring or enlarging with a proportional divider or using rulers, it would take me forever. You would have to add another 10 hours to every drawing. And this saves me a lot of time just to get my reference point, to make sure it's going to fit on the paper, to make sure my composition looks good on the paper, and I have a starting point. And then when you watch the 1 hour video next month, you will see me drawing this. So I will start this for next month's 1 hour video, and you'll get to watch what I do and how I start the drawing, and how much easier it is to start without having to sit there and figure out where on the paper to start your line drawing, because it's already kind of basically laid out for your composition. So it didn't take me long at all, and I was able to finish the line drawing, and I took a picture of it to try to show. It's very light. It is done with a coal gray 1, and it's so light, so I have to zoom in just so you can see the lines. This is zoomed out, but if I zoom in, you'll be able to see a little bit more. You can kind of see some of the lines, but you can also tell how it's not very detailed at all. Over on another area, I'll move the area to closer into the bottle cap, and you can see how very light it is and not very detailed. That's all I need to get started. Now, if you notice to the left of the bottle, if you can even see the neck of the bottle because it's so light, if you notice to the left, there's a really dark little spot. It looks like my pencil fell on it and made a dark mark. I tried to remove that with an eraser and it wouldn't come up, but I'm not worried about it because it's going to be in the background. I know I can cover it. It's just a little spot of gray. So I'm not going to start all over just because of that, and in the end, it won't make a difference because there'll be a lot of layers covering it. So this is pretty much how I start my drawing, and next month you'll be able to watch me draw this 1800 bottle for an hour.